Did you know you spend about a third of your entire life asleep? And get this, for a huge chunk of that time, something like 6 whole years, you're dreaming. I mean, your mind is just creating these entire worlds, wild stories, and bizarre scenarios, all while you're totally out of it. So, what's the deal? Why do we do it? Well, today we're going to dive into the strange science of why we dream.
I love this quote from Steinbeck. It perfectly captures this idea that sleep isn't just, passive rest for our bodies. He calls it the committee of sleep, which suggests it's an active, powerful state where our minds are actually hard at work, trying to untangle all the knots from our waking lives. And as we're about to see, sometimes that committee comes up with some truly world-changing stuff. Okay, to really get a handle on just how powerful dreaming can be, we've got to start with a story. It's a fantastic one, all about a chemist, a puzzle that seemed impossible, and a dream about a snake eating its own tail. So the chemist's name was August Kekulé. He was racking his brain over this massive problem, benzene. He knew the ingredients, right? 6 carbon atoms, 6 hydrogen atoms. But for the life of him, he could not figure out how they all fit together. It just seemed to defy all the known rules of chemistry. The guy was completely, totally stuck. So completely exhausted and frustrated, he just dozes off by the fire. And in his dream, those atoms he'd been obsessing over, they start dancing and twisting around like a bunch of snakes. Then something incredible happens. One of the snakes grabs its own tail in its mouth, forming a perfect ring. He jolts awake with the answer. It wasn't a straight line at all. It was a ring. A dream had just solved one of the biggest puzzles in organic chemistry. Just like that. I mean, that story is just incredible, right? But it's not just about one chemist getting a lucky nap. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a dream can do that, what are they actually for? What is the real point of all these bizarre stories our brains cook up every single night? Kekulé's story is famous now, but this fascination we have with dreams, it's as old as humanity itself. For literally thousands of years, we've been trying to figure them out. Are they messages from the gods? Are they warnings about the future? Or are they just random brain noise? Let's take a quick look at how our ideas about dreams have changed. I mean, this goes way, way back. The ancient Egyptians had whole books and professional interpreters just for dreams. There was even one that said if you dreamed your leg fell off, it meant dead people were judging you. Wild, right? Then fast forward to the 20th century, and the whole game changes with psychoanalysis. You've got the heavy hitters, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, coming in with these brand new psychological ways to think about our dreams. So, what was the big difference between these two? Well, for Freud, it was all about you. He believed your dreams were a secret pathway to your own personal repressed desires, all disguised in symbols. For Jung, though, it was bigger than that. He thought dreams connected us to what he called a collective unconscious, a shared pool of universal symbols and archetypes, things like the hero or the shadow that all humans recognize. But then, right around the middle of the 20th century, everything changed. The whole conversation took a massive turn because for the very first time, we could actually measure what was happening inside a sleeping brain. The mystery of dreams was officially moving out of the therapist's office and into the science lab. The big breakthrough came in 1952 with the discovery of something called REM sleep. Researchers noticed this really strange stage of sleep where a person's eyes would just dart back and forth like crazy under their eyelids. So they tried an experiment. They woke people up right in the middle of it. And bingo, almost every single time, the person said they were having a super vivid dream. This was huge. They'd found a physical, biological sign of dreaming. And the stuff that happens during REM sleep is just bizarre. For starters, your brain activity, it looks almost identical to when you're wide awake. But at the exact same time, your brain cuts off key chemicals that keep you alert and mobile. This basically causes your muscles to go completely limp, a temporary paralysis called REM atonia. And that's a good thing. It's what stops you from literally acting out your dreams and, trying to fly off the bed.
And this actually explains something super common and, honestly, pretty terrifying. Sleep paralysis. Have you ever had that happen? Where you wake up, you're totally conscious, but you absolutely cannot move a muscle? Well, that's probably what's going on. Your conscious mind just woke up a split second before your body got the memo that REM paralysis was over. It's basically a scary little glitch in the wake-up sequence.
Okay, so once we could actually study REM sleep, it was like the floodgates opened. All these new scientific theories about dreaming started popping up. So let's break down the main contenders for why our brains evolved to do this in the first place.
All right, theory number 1 is kind of disappointing, but here it is. Dreams are basically meaningless. This is called the activation synthesis hypothesis. The idea is that your brainstem is just shooting off a bunch of random electrical signals while you sleep. Your cortex, the part of your brain that loves stories, detects all this random static and does its best to stitch it together into some kind of narrative. It's like trying to find a plot in TV static, which would definitely explain why our dreams are so often just completely weird and nonsensical.
Okay, but what if they're not random at all? Theory number 2 suggests that dreams are actually a kind of mental rehearsal. Think of it like a super advanced flight simulator, but for your life. It's a safe place where our brains can practice for important or even dangerous scenarios without any real-world consequences. Now, this idea kind of splits into 2 main flavors. First, you've got threat simulation. This is the idea that our dreams are basically practice runs for our worst fears. And this makes a ton of sense when you find out that the most common emotion in dreams is anxiety, right? Think about it. Dreams of being chased, falling, failing a test, it could just be your brain running a fire drill. Then there's social simulation, where we practice tricky social stuff, like a big confrontation or a first date. This leads us right into theory number 3, the skill sharpener. You know how people always say, sleep on it when you have a tough problem? Well, this theory says that's literally what's happening. Dreaming is how our brain sorts through everything that happened during the day, decides what's important, and locks it into long-term memory. And yeah, just like with our chemist friend, Kay Couvé, it's where we might just find those creative, out-of-the-box solutions. There was this really cool study that backs this up. They had people play Tetris for hours on end. And what happened? Well, later that night, they started dreaming about the falling blocks. Their brains were basically replaying the game in their sleep, helping to cement that new skill into their memory. It's called the Tetris effect. Okay. And our last major theory, theory number 4, is a wild one. It's called the defensive activation theory, and it suggests that we dream to keep our eyesight. Seriously, the visual part of our brain takes up a ton of space. The theory goes that during the long, dark night, when it's not being used, other senses like hearing or touch might try to hijack that valuable brain real estate. So dreams, being super visual, are basically a screensaver to keep the visual cortex busy and say, hey, this area is occupied. So there you have it, 4 big ideas. Are dreams just random noise? Are they a practice simulator, a memory tool, or just a way to protect our vision? We've got all these competing theories, and yet, the honest truth is, we're still kind of staring into the dark on this one.
A huge part of the problem is just how slippery dreams are. Get this. Scientists estimate that we forget up to 95% of our dreams, most of them within the first 10 minutes of waking up. 95%. They're like ghosts just vanishing into thin air, which makes them incredibly hard to study.
So this brings us back to the big question. After all this time, all this research, which theory is the right one? And the honest-to-goodness answer is, we still don't know for sure. The real answer probably isn't just one of these theories. It's likely a mix of all of them. Maybe dreaming serves all of these functions, or maybe even some we haven't even discovered yet. It could be helping us learn, practice, solve problems, and maintain our brains, all at the same time. And that really is the most amazing part of all this. It's one of the greatest and most personal mysteries we have. I mean, think about it. We know more about nebulas that are thousands of light years away than we do about what's actually going on inside our own heads when we go to sleep at night. It's this vast, uncharted territory that each of us explores every single night. A reminder of just how much is left to discover about what it means to be human.